Okay, there is only another week left before we actually get the full release of the game. So before the full release, I am hoping I can convince you to not fuck up your account. That is my goal in this video. So what is the topic, you're gonna ask? The most contentious topic right now is who do you pick for your target banner, right? Is it Tiiamat? Is it Rosa? Is it Ramoka? Now, I want to give you my opinion on who to choose. And fun fact, you're not gonna probably like my answer, but hear me out. Okay, so since we don't have the game, let's jump onto Pride so that we can take a look, shall we? Now, first unit here that we are looking at is Tiiamat. Now, when we're looking at Tiiamat, let's look at what she does first. Okay, so her S3, Tiiamat consumes her own life to empower her spear and throw it to penetrate enemies. Consumes 30% of her current HP to deal 2 hits of damage, equal to 10% of her max HP to all enemies, with a 50% chance to inflict 1 turn of taunt. Okay, so we know that her S3 is an AoE skill that taunts. Her S2, Tiiamat establishes a mental bond with allies, consuming 25% of her current HP to apply a 2-turn heal over time and shield to all allies. The shield amount equals to 120% of her HP consumed, and for every 1 stack of bloodshed Tiiamat has, the shield amount increases by 5%. So her S2 is basically a heal over time and a shield to all your allies. And her skill number 1, which is basically a 2-hit equally to 10% of her max HP to a single enemy and consuming 8% of her current HP with each hit, dealing real damage equal to 100% of the consumed amount. Okay, so very simple S1. But the most important part about her is her passive, which is, mother of all evolution. She has 25% of the damage taken by other allies. For every 13% max HP lost or healed, gain 1 stack of bloodshed. When bloodshed reaches 8 stacks, enters ultimate form, healing 30% of max HP and immediately gaining a turn. Now what is, ultimate shed, bloodshed, ultimate form, bloodshed, whatever. Alright, now bloodshed basically is for each stack, it increases the healing received by 4% up to 20 stacks. This effect cannot be dispelled. Ultimate form, which is basically her dragon mother form, right? She can only gain this after she gets 8 stacks of bloodshed, and she will only have 1 skill called Purge Day. Okay? When she's in ultimate form, she loses increasing stacks of bloodshed at each end of the turn. Alright? I'm not going to go through all of that. And when there are no more bloodshed stacks left, she exits ultimate form. Okay? Now what is Purge Day when she is in ultimate form? Tiiamat unleashes purifying flames to incinerate enemies, dealing damage equal to 15% of her max HP to all enemies, adding additional true damage equal to 13% of her current HP, and recovering HP equal to 20% of the damage dealt. This skill does not generate cooldowns. So just by hearing all of this on Tiiamat, you can tell that number 1, she really needs HP because most of her attack is from HP. Okay? Number 2, she does a lot. She taunts, she shields, she heals over time for all your allies. Okay? And she damage shares. Alright? That to me, from someone who plays a lot of turn-based gacha games, screams that she is a tank, alright, or a bruiser, one of the two, okay? Because of that, she is going to be, very, very, very versatile for your entire, team in the early game. What do I mean by that? When you're in the early game, you need to think about this. You are under-leveled, you don't have enough gear, you don't have enough shells, you're going to be extremely squishy most of the time when you're trying to push for harder content, and you might just be unlucky and not have a healer. I'm not wrong. Now, because of that reason, she does everything already. Okay? Now I'm talking early game here. In late game, she does even more, in my opinion. So, because of that reason, I think that Tiiamat is absolutely important for you if you want to have, longevity for your account. But let's take a look at Rosa and Ramoka, shall we? Now, with Rosa, her S3 basically is a 2-turn crit rate up, and deals 3 hits of 120% damage to all enemies, with crit hits having a 40% chance to land a 2-turn speed down on them. Okay, so okay, cool. Her S3 is a crit rate up and a speed down. Alright. Her S2 is a passive where, you know, each time Rosa lands a crit, if the target is not inflicted with Blade Heart Bloom, inflicts 1 turn of Blade Heart Bloom. Now, I want you to remember this, okay, that this is going to be not 100% until you fully skill her up. Okay, remember this. Now, with her S1, Rosa deals 3 hits of 70 damage to a single enemy. If the final hit is a crit, there's a 50% chance to reduce the target's turn meter by 10%. 50% chance to reduce meters by 10%. Couple that with the fact with her passive, you know, every time there's a Blade Heart Bloom, she can attack the target. Because what Blade Heart Bloom does is it takes 15% extra damage from basic attacks, and when the carrier attacks with a crit hit as the main target, Rosa deals follow-up attack to them with her basic attack. And this effect can only be triggered 1 time per turn. Okay, so if your opponent crits, Rosa will follow up. It's that simple. Okay, now, what about Ramoka? Ramoka has been, you know, coined as, you know, the easiest Doki Doki Inferno hunter out there right now. So what is Ramoka? Let's read Ramoka. Okay. Ramoka first deals 3 hits of 180 damage to a single enemy, with the first hit having a 75% chance to inflict a 1-turn stun on them. Cool, so she stuns on the first hit. After attacking, she deals splash damage to all enemies equal to 33% of the total damage dealt. If the first 3 hits kill the target, the splash damage ratio increases to 100%. Bear in mind again that all of these multipliers and numbers only comes if you fully max her skill out. Okay? So, splash damage is unaffected by damage boost or damage reduction and cannot deal crit hits. Just remember that. S2 is basically an AoE. Ramoka deals 280% to all enemies. For every 1% HP the target has lost, the final damage increases by 0.6%. After attacking, Ramoka recovers 70% of her lost HP, so she has a little bit of sustain here. Okay, but it's still not great, not until you get this maxed. And it's still not great. Her S1 basically is just a normal hit that deals 260% damage to a single enemy with a 40% chance to inflict speed down on them. Cool. But what is important is her passive, which is Sweetheart. Reduces all her animus skill cooldowns by 1 turn after each kill. Okay, so realistically speaking, if she kills a lot of enemies, she can just, you know, spam her S3 non-stop. That's basically what it is. However, okay, now here comes the interesting part here. Both Ramoka and Rosa, okay, they both suffer from being a DPS. When you are a DPS, you are technically coined as the game's flavor of the month or the season, because you will get power crept eventually. Okay, so I want you to take this into consideration, because if you want to make Rosa perform really well in the end game, or Ramoka, you need to invest a whole lot of resources into her. Alright, that can come from, you know, your experience to level them up. That can come from your GP outposts, you know, just to get all those little module things so that you can upgrade their skills. And let's not even talk about Letices, because these 2 units are already SSRs that needs perfect Letices. In order for you to get, you know, for Rosa to get her S3 up to level 5, or even her S2 to level 5, okay, that is already a minimum of 3 perfect Letices, and we all know how difficult it is to get them. Do you really want to spend all your Letices on a unit that is going to be power crap and you're probably not going to have the chance to reconfigure them and get your Letices back? Probably not. Me, as a whale, I don't even want to do it. So you as a free-to-play or a light spender would definitely not want to do it. Okay? Same thing with Ramoka. For Ramoka to do really well in Inferno, you need this level 5 so that the splash damage is 100%. Are you going to put 3 Letices to get all of this? only for you to find, you know, that Messiah can do it anyway. Fruit for thought, okay? But going back to Tiamat, number one, is a bruiser, okay? Power creeping a bruiser in almost every game I play is very, very difficult. Not only that, the longevity of a bruiser in any game I have played, alright, Epic 7, Dislight, Elder Plane, takes a long ass time. You're gonna be able to get so much return on investment on Tiamat for a very long time compared to investing into a DPS. Okay? So that is the reason why I think that you should be going for Tiamat and not Rosa or Ramoka. Okay? If you guys don't know, the best, you know, comparison you can do for Ramoka if you played Epic 7 is Saz. Year 1 Saz was great. Saz was fantastic. It's Year 7 now. Where is Saz? Literally sitting in everyone's account box like furniture. He's not even touched anymore. And you can't do anything about that. You can't take back all your experience points, you can't take back your Mologoras, you can't do all of that stuff. And that's going to happen to you if you were to do it, if you were to put the Titus into Ramoka or Rosa. Okay? Sure, they are going to, if you have, you know, cracked out gear, like really busted gear, I don't, okay? In this last beta that I just played, I did not have that. You can have the most busted of gear, alright? She's still a DPS. They're both still DPS. So if they die, which is very likely, you're fucked. You don't have any more damage, right? Building a DPS means you're going to forego having HP and having bulk. You're going to worry about your speed, your crit rate, your crit damage, and your attack. That means one unlucky proc will kill them. Okay? That goes for both Ramoka and Rosa. Not only that, you will have to really fine-tune your speed tuning in PvE, alright, so that you can do your skills back to back. Alright, because if the wave continues, you lose. Tiamat, on the other hand, does not have that problem because you're already building her bulky as shit. Sure, your runs are not gonna be, you know, like the Flash. Okay, fair. But you are going to have, you know, a nice consistent time clearing them. Alright, you're not going to have any troubles in majority of the content, because if you ever need, you know, a blue bruiser or just a blue unit to fit the role, she's there. And so, my question to you is, what do you want to achieve? If you're going to play this game long term, I think that you should be going for a unit that has a longevity in terms of, you know, their shelf life, versus a DPS where you get to have fun for a little bit, you get that little dopamine rush, and then eventually some new DPS comes out, and then you forget about Rosa, you try to build a DPS, realize you don't have enough Latices, and go, ah, shit. That's something I need you guys to think about, okay? That's coming from me as someone who, you know, will not have as much of a problem. I won't say I won't have a problem, I will. But I won't have as much as a problem as you guys. And I am still thinking in this manner, okay? And I'm trying to help you guys out, because I don't want you guys going into this full launch going, I'm going to pick Rosa. Realize that you need to fully skill up her S2 to make sure that, you know, your follow-up attack is 100%. Then you need to worry about building crit on all your units so that you will actually, you know, get the most bang for your buck in terms of DPS from Rosa, because of the amount of sheer volume she can do if you actually, you know, get 100% crit and 100% follow-up attack. Only to realize that you can't do it, struggle that you can't do it, have problems clearing content, and then getting pissed off. Okay? Same thing goes to Ramoka. Unless you are giga lucky with your gears as well, and make Ramoka extremely busted, and have, you know, gear and all the resources to, you know, support her cause, I don't think it's worth it, guys. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I think you should just go for Tiamat, because with Tiamat you don't need majority of this, right? You just need to get, you know, 1 or 2 here and there, especially with her S1, because her speed's in her S1 and her S3, which has, you know, HP percentage. Just get that, right? And then you're going to be using her for a long time anyway. You won't even regret using your Latisis. Not only that, she's also quite easy to build. You can build her with sets from Terramaton. There's Wellspring that is there for her. You can also build her on Doki Doki because you have, you know, the, what's that called? The speed set, right? Or you can even build her with Aurora, with Bloodbath. All sets work on her. Whereas with Ramoka and Rosa, you need to put, you know, Onslaught, Keen Eye, Fury, any DPS set on them to make them even remotely do damage. Okay, because I ran my Rosa on speed Onslaught, and I was still not doing enough damage because my units that were supporting her had no crit. Okay, 40% crit. It's not crit. 100% crit is crit. Okay, same thing with Ramoka. I put speed set on her. I put Battle Will. I put Onslaught. You know, just to try things out. And it didn't work. So, guys, honestly, I would say go with Tiamat. Don't be a spud. I'm trying to help you guys out because I want you guys to have the best experience going into this launch. Alright, start strong. That is super important. I already made a video previously when we had the game on, but I had more things to say about, you know, this entire topic, so I decided to create this video. But anyway, that's me yapping. Hopefully you find value. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, you know the drill. And if you want to watch me play this live, watch me on Abstract. Besides that, I'll catch you guys in the next one.